Hello there, geeks and gamers. I'm Marc the Cyborg, and I'm here to talk to you about some of the sexy and not so sexy games coming out in June 2020. So without further ado, Command & Conquer was one of the original smash hit real-time strategy games, along with the first few Warcraft titles. After they disappointed the entire fanbase with the announcement of a mobile CNC game, EA has finally removed their craniums from their anuses and are remastering the original game, which was later retitled Tiberian Dawn: Star Wars to a New Hope style, in addition to the first spin-off Command & Conquer Red Alert. The new versions will feature remastered visuals for both the game and the famous super cheesy live-action cinematics, a cleaner user interface, and full multiplayer support. In addition to that, EA is releasing the source code for both games, which should allow the mod community to do some pretty cool stuff over the next few years with it. The Command & Conquer Remastered Collection launches for both Origin and Steam on June 5th. If real-time strategy isn't your thing, there is also a turn-based offering dropping in June. Warborn looks to be something of a spiritual successor to the Advance War games, which was a fantastic series of strategy games on Game Boy Advance and Nintendo DS. The map is divided into a hexagon-based grid, and when you engage an enemy, a short, satisfying cutscene will play, indicating how a battle played out. So if you're down for some strategic mecha action, check out Warborn when it arrives on Steam, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One on June 12th. Last year, Obsidian Entertainment proved that they are as good, if not better, at making Bethesda games than Bethesda is when they released The Outer Worlds. The Outer Worlds was essentially a 3D Fallout game, but instead of a massive, sprawling wasteland to traverse, you've got an assortment of planets, each with smaller, segmented areas to explore. The result was a tight, satisfying adventure which emphasized quality over quantity. I played a fair amount of The Outer Worlds and enjoyed my time with it, so if you enjoyed the Switch port of Skyrim and are looking for more of that type of RPG while you're on the go, The Outer Worlds might be a good choice when it comes out on June 5th. I can't vouch for the performance of the Switch version, but I honestly can't imagine it's very good, so reading some reviews of that version before you buy will be a good call. If you've got an Xbox One or PC, the game is on Game Pass already, and it's also purchasable on those platforms in addition to PS4. I've been making my way through Nihon Falcom's Trails series and truly love it, to the point that I'm trying not to pay attention to what's going on in this footage of Trails of Cold Steel 3. According to Appabend, Cold Steel 3 is essentially the Infinity War of the Trails cinematic universe, and should not be played before you've played at least the first two Cold Steel games. Or do what I've been doing and start with Trails in the Sky, then proceed through a trilogy, a fan-translated duology, and then start the 4 Cold Steel games. The downside is that if you've only got a Switch, Cold Steel 3 is the only game in the series on that platform at this time. This is because NIS America is localizing the series now, taking over from Xseed, and Xseed hasn't published any of the games they own the rights to on Switch. But if you want to jump into the big team-up event without knowing the members of the team, I can almost guarantee that Cold Steel 3 will be an exciting, well-written JRPG with memorable characters. Xseed does still own the publishing rights to Falcom's other series, Ys, and on June 19th, they're releasing a remastered version of the PlayStation Vita action RPG, Ys Memories of Celceta, on PS4. The 2012 game will now support high resolutions and my favorite feature, a locked 60 FPS frame rate, like its 2018 PC version. I've personally never played a Ys game before, so I can't vouch for this series the way I can with Trails, but clearly I enjoyed the developer, so I thought I'd bring this port to your attention. This ends the weeb portion of the video, I swear. Halo co-creator Marcus Leto's new game is called Disintegration and has you piloting a hovercraft called a grav cycle while commanding a group of troops on the ground. The game was originally conceived as a real-time strategy game, but in an effort to make the game feel more distinct, Leto decided to mix in some action shooter gameplay. The result is a pretty unique looking game which is packing both a campaign and a multiplayer mode. The early buzz for the multiplayer wasn't very good, but the campaign may prove to make the game worth looking into. If you're a fan of Halo or Destiny, keep an eye out for reviews of Disintegration when it launches for Steam, PS4, and Xbox One on June 16th. Valorant is a game which has been getting very good multiplayer buzz, and this one I can vouch for personally as I played the living hell out of the extended closed beta. Valorant is a 5v5 tactical shooter in the same style as Counter-Strike, but with hero characters and special abilities like in Overwatch or Apex Legends. I made an impressions video on Valorant, which I'll link in the description, but if you're okay with installing their anti-cheat software, which is a bit invasive, Valorant is a damn fun game. Valorant officially launches on June 2nd and can be downloaded for free on riotgames.com. This game has been extremely controversial in the short months before release, but despite the controversy and illegal abuse of the DMCA system to strike this very channel for discussing news, The Last of Us Part 2 is still looking to be the biggest PS4 exclusive of 2020. In this game, you take control of the original game's sidekick character Ellie and navigate her through a cinematic story and some hyper-violent survival horror gameplay. I was a huge fan of the original game, and I'm confident that Neil Druckmann and his team will be able to deliver a gorgeous and intense game, but I've cancelled my pre-order due to the company's quest to silence my colleagues and I. Also, the story decisions don't sound great, so if you're still planning to get the game, brace yourself for some strange narrative and character choices, but that alone wasn't enough to lose me. If I do play the game, it will be a used copy which I purchased from someone who is pissed off about the aforementioned story choices, which is a shame because this was previously one of my most anticipated games of the year behind Cyberpunk and Doom Eternal. I was streaming last month and a viewer asked me if I was going to be playing Spongebob Battle for Bikini Bottom Rehydrated. My first thought was, why would I? But after doing some digging, it seems that this was a very well-loved game, to the point that it's talked about as one of the best licensed games of all time. It probably fell under my radar because I've never been a huge fan of collectathon 3D platformers, but what I've seen of the remake looks quite solid and appears to be loaded with SpongeBob's quirky humor. So if mushroom zombies and poorly treated source material don't seem like they're going to be up your alley in June, how about try a hard left turn and play a lighthearted SpongeBob game instead? The boomer shooter is one of my favorite subgenres, and the game which got me into them was Project Warlock, which came to GOG first in 2018. Developed by Yakov Sislo, who was a teenager at the time, Project Warlock takes a lot of what made the original Doom and Heretic games great and mixes it with some light RPG and permadeath elements. One of the first videos I ever made was on Project Warlock. It's a Gundam liked that video and shared it on Twitter, which made me start taking YouTube more seriously and eventually led me here to Geeks and Gamers. So this game does mean a lot to me, and thankfully, console players will soon have a chance to experience it. The release dates are staggered in a weird way, but you can find Project Warlock on PS4 June 9th, on Switch June 11th, and on Xbox One the following day, June 12th. The soundtrack is also badass. You've been hearing it in the background this whole video. I just want to end by saying that if you do still want to play The Last of Us Part 2 because it's a big game you're excited for, that's totally okay. While Gaming with Geeks has had a bit of a conflict with Naughty Dog over the copyright strike situation, you're all individuals who will make your own choices for your own reasons. Even if you want to drop $200 on the collector's edition on opening day, you're still welcome in our community. And if you do still want to play the game, but also want to make a statement on behalf of the channels who Naughty Dog struck, buy a used copy. I have a feeling you'll be seeing a lot of them on the market.